Hey guys, what's up? Lewin here at GarageBand and beyond. I'm actually having a big problem with my computer today and I have to reinstall the OS onto it. The screen keeps going black and I've narrowed it down to something wrong with my OS. So I'm back to the iPhone for today's video. So I'm going to talk about what I call and use as my final mix checklist. This is something that I use every single time I put out a mix for a client or for YouTube or something like that. And it's just one of the ways that I make sure that I've, checked off all the little boxes on my list before it's gone out. In the past, especially when I started doing more and more mixing for clients, I would find that if I listened to them like later in life, I was like, I don't think I went back and checked on that or this or that. So it became essential that I created a checklist for myself, just like a pilot in an airplane, like when they're starting to take off, even before they start up the airplane, there's a whole long checklist that the co-pilot and the pilot go through just to make sure that the machine can start. So it's sort of the same premise to that. I have a checklist to make sure that I've checked off and I've covered all my bases to make sure that I'm sending out the best sounding thing that I can. That's the whole purpose of a checklist, right? Duh. So also I'm going to put the whole thing in the more info area. So I do suggest that you copy it, paste it into somewhere that you can print it from, a little card or whatever. Just have your own list and print it out. And that way you can use it every time you have a final mix coming up, right? So number one on the final mix checklist is the low volume check. Okay, so this basically means you just turn that mix down to a point where it's almost inaudible. Like, when you can barely hear it and maybe just a bump up from there. You always want to check your mixes at a low volume, right? You will find that if things are out of balance, and you're doing this low volume check as an overall balance check. You're not listening so much for EQing or tones, but you're listening for overall balance. Are the vocals too low? Are they too high? Where is the snare and the kick? Can you hear the bass at all at a low volume? You should be able to, by the way. So that's what you're listening for in the low volume check. So that's the number one thing you do. That's an overall balance thing. Number two on the list is the multiple source check. This is something obviously we all need to do, but sometimes we get lazy about doing it. So that's why it's on my checklist as number two. So basically, if you have headphones, use as many sets of headphones as you can, obviously exporting it, taking it, listening to it on your phone, listening to it in the car. I have multiple monitors. There are my iLouds. Those are going the wrong way. that is the Mix Cube from Avantone, and of course my M Audio. So I have three monitors. I can switch them over here. I feel like a weatherman. I can switch them over there, and that's how I check my songs and my mixes through multiple sources, right? I have two sets of headphones and I like to use the mix phones here. I'm just showing you everything. The mix phones right here, and these are also great for just balancing, listening to in mono. And then the Avantone, what are these? The MH510s. I listen to these and use them as a reference for low end because they are a little bit on the heavy side on the low end. So if there's too much low end in a mix, these headphones will always tell me that. So I have a couple sets of headphones, earbuds. I like some short earbuds. Point is, I'm sure as somebody who owns a little home recording studio, you probably have multiple sets of headphones. Use them all. Understand what they're good at, and if they're like a really heavy set, then listen to them with that in mind, right? Okay, there's way too much bass and even the heavy ones can't handle it. Okay, so multiple source check, number two, done. Number three is the master channel output levels, okay? So in GarageBand, in your master channel output, right, or master output channel, you want to make sure that you're checking the overall levels that are hitting the meters there. One of the things I really wish I had my computer for today was so I could show you the plugin that I'm talking about, but it's everybody in GarageBand has it. Open the plugin menu, go down to utility. Pretty sure it's under utility, and it's the gain control, okay? Open that plugin, and if you look at the presets in there, you also have you can invert phase with that plugin. You can change your signals from mono to stereo or stereo to mono, which is one of the most powerful things it does. But you can also control the overall gain on that channel. So if you're finding that it's getting too hot before you start plugging in stuff to master it with, you can bring it down with the gain control that is in the utility folder in the plugins thing. Okay, so you've got all the gain stuff is controlled then. Now, next and final thing is the master EQ. Before you are mastering, okay? So this is what I'm talking about. You will be EQing your final mix a little tiny bit before it's going to go through the mastering stage. You might even consider this the first stage of mastering, right? A little bit of mastering EQ. Essentially what you're looking for when you go to your master EQ in the master output channel, you're going to go look at the EQ and you're just going to watch the waves happen throughout the song, right? You're looking for things like, is there a ton of 200 hertz in there, right? Is it just like is it just super tubby and fatty and like not clean? Is the low end just garbled to shit? It's probably because there's way too much 200 in it, because that's usually where that is. You want to also make sure that there's just not too much low end, you know, below 50 hertz. You don't want anything below there most of the time. And you might want to make sure it's not too hot on the high end as well. These are mastering things when we're getting to this part of the stage of the final mix, but it's sort of pre-work for the mastering stage that I will do in my final mix stage. So that is it, you guys. Not a very interesting thing, maybe, but I think it's really, really useful. So go down to the more info area of this video, copy and paste that out, print it somewhere. Just keep it somewhere where you can check it every time you've gotten to the end of your process and you're like, I think this is the final mix. You pull it out and you look at the list and then you just go down it. And then if you have gone through it and it still sounds good, and you'll tweak it, trust me, you'll find stuff to change. But you'll get at the end of the list, and if you've done it all, you should be in good shape. So, you guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Hey, do me a favor, I did open up an Instagram page, so come find me on Instagram. It's GarageBand and Beyond, obviously. Facebook, obviously, still on Facebook. Twitter, I don't really do because I hate Twitter and I think it's, you know, I don't know. Patreon people, you guys, I got a new patron the other day. You guys, I'm so happy and grateful. That helps us so much, and it keeps the channel alive, and it really, really is majorly appreciated. So you guys are really helping a lot. So thank you very much. Okay, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Peace.